live and archived games. Read about the teams and players. Relive the big moments. Every season, the Trib Live High School Sports Network is your home for high school sports. The best seat in the house is on Trib HSSN.
Friday Night Tradition continues here in 2025. Woo! Don Rebel with you. We welcome you officially to the WPIAL Football Scoreboard Show here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Let's start it off officially. Let's get our producer, Chris Lackner, in here. He's busy getting scores, doing his button pushing, all that stuff.
I'm working over here.
New season.
Thank you. You as well. We're back. We made it.
We are back here at the Mobile World Headquarters. And doesn't really feel like football yet, but the good thing is the weather is fine. Yes, lots of cramps. Yes, lots of stoppages. And yes, a lot of games that probably won't be going into the books for a while. But can't complain. No storms, no lightning delays, none of that nonsense.
No, and that's good. And a lot of scoring, too, is what I saw. A lot of points on the board tonight and a lot of touchdowns. So it was fun to watch, clicking through.
All right. Well, welcome back.
Thanks, man.
All right.
We'll do it big this year.
See you, pal. Welcome back, my friend, to the show that never ends. It's the WPL Scoreboard Show here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. This is, by the way, the 10th anniversary of Week 0. Before that, for all you kids out there who don't remember, teams had 2 scrimmages. Start practice first week, had the Saturday scrimmage. Then this week, the second week of practice would end with a Friday scrimmage. And then week 1 of the season, thus the name, was usually in these parts the last Friday in August. Well, they started when they expanded classifications. So this is also the 10th birthday of Class 6A and Class 5A. The PIAA decided to have this Week 0. And I thought it was about split, and I saw a note from Chris Harlan, the great Trib HSSN writer, who said that indeed that first year, 10 years ago, it was split. Half the teams played a second scrimmage. The other half played a Week 0 game. And I said at the time, I remember saying, why not take advantage? Because it not only gives the players another week in front of crowds and the Friday Night Lights experience, but it also gives the cheerleaders, it also gives the band another chance to do their thing on a Friday night, whereas the scrimmage, it's just a glorified practice. So I thought the pendulum would swing, and it has, to the point now where all the district teams, WPIAL and City League, so we're talking about 130, only 8 are not in action here on Week 0 opening weekend. 4 of them we know are scrimmaging. West Allegheny scrimmaged Bell Vernon. Union scrimmaged Burgettstown. The other 4, I think, are just not playing, waiting till Week 1 to start their season. Aliquippa, Bishop Canevin, Carmichael's, and Springdale. Speaking of Carmichael's, they are noteworthy, and we'll tell you why once we start running down some of the scores. The first final score of the season in probably about an hour and a half ago. It was a 5 o'clock kick, so maybe being too generous, probably about 2 hours ago. North Allegheny, back and forth matchup at the Wolverina against Woodland Hills. North Allegheny prevails 28-26, scoring late to take the lead for good. Luke Rohan, 107 yards on the ground, and he scored the game-winning touchdown with 50 seconds remaining. North Allegheny 28, Woodland Hills 26. No rhyme or reason, because these are all non-conference games, and most of them are one class against a different class. So once we get most of the scores in, we'll run them down in a little bit more of an order, but that won't be the case. We're just going to be darting around here early on like we usually do anyway. 50th all-time meeting between South Hills rivals Upper St. Clair and Mount Lebanon. Not a whole lot of, well, I shouldn't say not a whole lot of excitement, but not a whole lot of thrills as far as who was going to win this game. Upper St. Clair comes out, makes a statement. They were coming off a tremendous 2024 season and a good start to 2025. They win down the road, Route 19 at Mount Lebanon, 35-14. Mercy Roll game, they were up 35-0 before the Blue Devils scored a couple of second-half touchdowns. USC wins 35-14 over rival Mount Lebanon. Final score, last year's 3A champions, Avonworth, off and running. At home, the Antelopes defeat the Borough Buccaneers by a score of 35-6. Derry wins at home, 33-14. They knock off Ligonier Valley. And Waynesburg Central, all over West Green, 50-6 is the final score there. All right, we got some more final scores in. Mars knocks off Beaver by a score of 42-7. An impressive win for the Fighting Planets. High expectations for the Bobcats this season. Deer Lakes goes to Dormont Stadium, and they knock off Keystone Oaks by a score of 23-7. Bentworth 47, Brownsville 6. The Falcons still playing an independent schedule as they lose and add to their losing streak, which again we'll touch on here in a moment. Good one tonight at Geneva College, where Blackhawk defeats Beaver Falls by a score of 14-12. Tigers, quite the enigma. Beaver Falls, you'll remember they won the WPIAL championship in 2023, did not win a game last year, and they're 0-1 here in 2025, but a good contest as they lose to 4A Blackhawk 14-12. And another final score, Laurel 43, Elwood City 14. Nice win for the Spartans. Good road victory for the Deer Lakes Lancers. They win over Keystone Oaks at Dormont Stadium. Let's bring in Paul Patera. He is our first recap of 2025, and that's just
the hair's a mess.
The hair doesn't matter. I mean, look at this, dude. On this show, hair doesn't matter.
Hi, Dawn.
Hi, Paul.
Yeah, we do start another season. Deer Lakes Lancers with a 23-7 win over the Keystone Oaks Golden Eagles. Keystone Oaks got the ball, first play of the game, a 25-yard pass from Owen Gerhardt to Joe Colton. And then that was pretty much the extent of the offense for most of the game for the Keystone Oaks Golden Eagles. The defense ruled most of the first half. In fact, for the only score until there was 15 seconds left in the half was a 55-yard pick six by Jack Guthrie to give Deer Lakes a 7-0 lead. Deer Lakes did get a touchdown with 15 seconds left in the half, a 6-yard touchdown pass from Dante Majiri to Evan Moore. It was 14-0 at the half, but Deer Lakes was getting it done with a running attack, a two-pronged attack. Ryan Love, he's the Thunder, the senior, the sophomore, Roman Smith, is the Lightning. Ryan Love, 108 yards rushing tonight to lead the way for the Deer Lakes Lancers. And they went to the second half of that 14-0 lead, went to 17-0 on a 30-yard field goal by Connor Moore. And then Keystone Oaks did get on the board. A touchdown pass of 62 yards from Owen Gerhardt to Sean O'Brien. O'Brien with some nifty broken field running, getting it to the end zone to make it at that point 17-7. Love did get a touchdown with 17 seconds left on a 4-yard run. We told you he had 108 yards rushing to pace the Deer Lake Lancers, who go to 1-0. Next week, the Lancers will be at home against South Park. Keystone Oaks' first 3 games for the Eagles are here at Dormont Stadium. Next week, they play the Quakers of Quaker Valley. Tough game for Keystone Oaks, who played some solid defense tonight, but Deer Lake's a little bit too much for the Golden Eagles tonight. 23-7, Deer Lakes defeats Keystone Oaks to start our WPIAL 2025 season.
Well, I started the show, Paul, by saying this is the 10th year of week 0, and now all but 8 teams are taking part in the Friday Night Lights experience. It can get a little sloppy.
Yeah.
The weather cooperated as far as, where you're always worried about storms this time of year. It was still warm at kickoff. How did the players hold up on both sides, and was play a little sloppy?
Play was sloppy, absolutely, like week 0. But then again, we saw that in the Steeler preseason game last night. That was extremely sloppy. There wasn't anybody, nobody went off the field with cramps. Couple people did get hurt, minor injuries, but came back in. Like I said, I didn't see, anybody suffering for cramps or, sometimes you see people get sick in this first week of the season, but didn't see a lot of that. So these coaches did a good job getting their players prepared for it because it was hot. Trust me, I got a couple empty bottles of water in front of me here. It was hot in the press box tonight. So I give these kids credit. And Keystone Oaks wears black jerseys with black pants. So, those guys got to be hot. But yeah, it was sloppy to be expected. Not a lot of penalties, but some turnovers and just some miscommunication at times.
Yeah, I think a lot of coaches now like the fact that we're back to week 3 when conference play starts, because there were years recently where teams were playing week 1, week 2 conference games, and I think coaches realize it takes a scrimmage and maybe 2 or 3 games before really they feel comfortable with everybody knowing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and we all need that. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, and that's only fair. Like you said, it's almost like a preseason game, these non-conference games for these kids. They see what they have, they see what works, and then when they get to conference play, they're ready. They've got a system, and they're ready to go.
Welcome to 2025, my friend.
You too. It's been a long time with us too, and let's keep it rolling.
Paul Patera, the great Paul Patera, checking in as Keystone Oaks falls to Deer Lakes. The Lancers often galloping or sprinting, whatever they do. The Lancers win at Dormont Stadium tonight. Our first final score of the season, maybe across the state, not sure. Didn't check my District 4 schedule to see if there were any afternoon games, but a 5 o'clock start, the first of 5 games this weekend at the Wolverina at Woodland Hills. The host Wolverines, home to the North Allegheny Tigers. Really good game, back and forth. NA prevails with a late score. Speaking of greats, the great Randy Gore, kind enough to join us as he had the call tonight from Turtle Creek. Randy, welcome to a new season.
Thank you, Don. How are you doing?
Doing well. How about you?
Doing well. I was happy to have the 5 p.m. kickoff. I get to talk to you now. It's 9:30. I get to
everything's relaxed.
I can listen to some of the other games.
That's
great. So, do you want me to dive right in? I don't know how much. Okay, I'll jump right in. Well, this North Allegheny Woodland Hills contest, first time that these two teams have met since 2012, when North Allegheny defeated Woodland Hills in the WPIAL championship that year, 21-14. The last 5 meetings between these 2 teams, North Allegheny has won them all. 4 of those 5 have been in the postseason. Of course, North Allegheny now in Class 6A and Woodland Hills in Class 5A. But they hooked up tonight in this kickoff classic, and it got started early. North Allegheny's opening possession, Brady Brinkley intercepted by Scoop Smith, the very talented defensive back and receiver for Woodland Hills. Scoop headed to Miami of Ohio, and he made an impact early. Had that diving interception at his own 24-yard line for Woodland Hills, and then on the possession that followed, had a 60-yard touchdown run on an option pitch left, and Woodland Hills took an early 6-0 lead, 9:41 on the clock. Extra point kick was blocked. That was going to be a theme for the night, along with plenty of cramping that occurred. But so Woodland Hills, the early 6-0 lead. North Allegheny responded, 21-yard touchdown pass, Brady Brinkley to Ben Kern, and that gave North Allegheny a 7 7-6 lead to culminate a 53-yard drive. Tigers added on in the second quarter, 7:53 to play in the period. A 38-yard field goal by Ethan Maravich. It gave North Allegheny at that point a 10-6 lead. This game featured 6 lead changes. This would be one of them right here. Woodland Hills late in the second quarter, 41 seconds left in the quarter, a 35-yard touchdown pass. Cam Walter to Ziggy Moore. Moore headed to NC State, and we could all see why, is he would take it to the house for a 14-10 Woodland Hills lead. Woodland Hills would convert the 2-point conversion. And actually the touchdown drive by Woodland Hills was preceded by a Landon Aikens interception, also a common theme. Every time the Woodland Hills defense made a play, it would lead to points offensively. So 14-10 Woodland Hills at the half. North Allegheny would score first in the second half, 8:35 to play in the third period after a 3-and-out forced by the NA defense. Allowed them a short field, and they took advantage of a 4-yard touchdown run for Luke Rohan, and the Tigers led 16-14. The extra point failed for the Tigers, so it stayed a 2-point lead. Tigers, though, just 23 seconds later, a 32-yard interception return for a touchdown, a pick six for Corey Pitts, up the North Allegheny lead to 22-14. 2-point conversion attempt failed this time, so it was still a one-score game at 22-14 with an 8-point lead for NA. Woodland Hills next drive, 35-yard touchdown pass Cam Walter to Malik McLeod, cut the NA advantage to 2, 22-20, but again, a failed 2-point conversion kept NA in front. That was with 5:32 to go in the third. Woodland Hills then took the lead, just 8 seconds left in the third period. Taylor Reed with a tough 31-yard touchdown run for a 26-22 advantage, 4-point lead for Woodland Hills. Once again, 2-point conversion failed. So again, it stayed 26-22 throughout almost the duration of the fourth quarter until North Allegheny's final drive, which started with a little over 5 minutes left in the fourth period, culminated on a 6-yard touchdown pass, Brady Brinkley to Luke Rohan, and that came on a 4th and goal from the 6 of Woodland Hills, and that touchdown gave NA a 28-26 lead. Woodland Hills had a shot at the end with a 4th and 10 from the North Allegheny 38. They would dump it off to the very talented Scoop Smith over the middle for about a 20-yard pass play, trying to get the speedy wideout in some space. North Allegheny was able to eventually pin him to the far sideline and out of bounds to prevail by the final score of 28-26. Rohan had the big game for North Allegheny offensively, 107 yards on the ground with 1 touchdown, and he hauled in the game-winning touchdown catch. Brady Brinkley, 211 through the air, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Scoop Smith, 3 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown. Taylor Reed, 8 carries for 65 yards and a touchdown. Most of that damage, 61 of those 65 yards in the second half. And Cam Walter through the air, who started 10 for 10 on the night. He finished 16 of 24 for 213 and 2 touchdowns. So very entertaining week 0 game at the Wolverina. 2 teams that certainly have high expectations. North Allegheny, who's appeared in the last 3 straight 6A championships. Woodland Hills, who won the Big East Conference last year undefeated, but lost in the quarterfinal round of the 5A playoffs, hoping to go a step further this year. So both teams have a lot to look forward to, certainly a lot gained by this matchup tonight. North Allegheny, of course, 1-0 with the final tonight. Woodland Hills 0-1. Woodland Hills will visit Penn Hills next week. North Allegheny will visit Gateway.
Yeah, good in both 2 challenges for both these teams next week. Good, I thought good job by Woodland Hills. The one part of the game I was listening to you guys was early third quarter when Woodland Hills fielded a kickoff to start the third quarter that looked like it was going out of bounds, bad field position. They end up punting and giving North Allegheny a short field. Tigers come down, take the lead. Tigers then add to it on another big play on special teams that went against Woodland Hills. The kickoff, the receiver slipped down, I think, inside the 10, try a long pass, intercept the return for a touchdown. I thought at that point North Allegheny was just going to sort of pull away. So while frustrating, I'm sure, for Woodland Hills because they were looking for a W, I think a pretty good showing despite the loss.
Yeah, I think so for both teams. And at one point, we were hearkening back to whenever, weeks before week 0. These were just
Right.
scrimmages. And I mean, there's so much when you look at a game like tonight, and there's miscues. There are plenty of penalties, offsides, and those are the things that you work out the kinks in week 0. I think, in this particular game tonight, it's so much talent on both sides and two teams that certainly can make their mark deep into the season. So, from my perspective, a lot gained. No, even for Woodland Hills, despite the loss, certainly a lot that they can take from in this one.
Top 3 teams in their respective classifications. Randy, always a pleasure, my friend. I'll look forward to speaking with you next week.
Likewise, I appreciate it, Don. Have a good rest of the weekend.
Right. 7 o'clock.
I'm going to go relax now.
7 o'clock next week, Randall. Don't forget that.
All right. 7 o'clock kick. I know. Back to normal time.
That's right. Randy Gore, the voice of the North Allegheny Tigers, had a good one today. Tigers win by a score of 28-26 over Woodland Hills. A game that did not have that kind of suspense coming down to the wire, was over kind of early. Very impressive showing for the Upper St. Clair Panthers as they visited their old rivals, the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils, and come away with an impressive victory. Greg Smith was in on the call on the network of that game. Not a lot of suspense, but boy, the Panthers picking up where they left off last year.
Boy, you could say that again, Don. Good to see you as always. Welcome back. And you're right. It was picking up exactly where they left off, especially for the defense for Upper St. Clair. And we'll get into that as well. Certainly the offense was really the one who showed out, though, in the first half, at least I guess they both did on the scoreboard. Mount Lebanon got the ball first, a quick 3 and out. That, unfortunately, was a theme for the Blue Devils all night. Upper St. Clair took them just 2 plays in their first drive at 9:41. It was an Ethan Hellman 48-yard touchdown pass to Nico DeRazio. Again, quick 7-0 lead for Upper St. Clair, just 2 plays into 5 plays total into the game and 2 plays in for their offense. Mount Lebanon, again, another quick 3 and out. This time, though, their defense does step up, forces Upper St. Clair into a 3 and out. And you think, okay, here we go. It's going to be a close, tough defensive struggle here. But for Upper St. Clair, it did not take much. Their next drive, 8 plays, 63 yards, capped off by a Josh Schneider 10-yard run at 3:29 to go in the first quarter. And quickly it was 14-0. And Mitch Montani and I on the call were already remarking at that point, it felt like if Mount Lebanon needed to do something offensively just to get some life in it, because this Upper St. Clair offense looked like the real deal. Unfortunately for Mount Lebanon, their 4th 3 and out of the first quarter occurred. Upper St. Clair, again, wastes no time. Just 5 plays, 63 yards later, it was a second touchdown pass to Nico DeRazio from Ethan Hellman, this time from 45 yards out, and it was 21-0 with just 16 seconds to go in the first quarter. Mount Lebanon finally gets a first down on the final 2 plays of the first quarter. They had just 16 total yards in the first quarter, and they came on the final 2 plays of the first quarter. Prior to that, 0 yards total in the first quarter, but they quickly then have to punt after that 1 first down. Upper St. Clair, 7 plays, 90 yards this time. It was the first time that Mount Lebanon had actually pinned Upper St. Clair back, but Upper St. Clair didn't stop. Just 7 plays later, it was an Anthony Razzo 51-yard touchdown reception from Ethan Hellman, and it was 28-0 at 6:56 to go in the second quarter. Mount Lebanon this time thinking they might have some offense on 3rd down, just the 3rd play of this 6th drive that they had, an interception by Caffrey Duplessis, returned all the way back to the Lebo 8-yard line. And of course, just 2 plays later, it was Nico DeRazio for the 3rd time, a touchdown reception from 8 yards out. That's with 5:57 to go in the second quarter, and it was 35-0. So Mount Lebanon at this point is just staving off mercy roll. They put together their longest drive of the game, 11 plays, 73 yards, but their drive stalls inside the 20 and a turnover on down. Upper St. Clair takes a 35-0 lead into the half. Mercy clock comes in into the second half. Give credit, though, to Mount Lebanon. In the second half, they ultimately end up outscoring Upper St. Clair 14-0. They get a fumble on the goal line on Upper St. Clair's first drive of the half. And then just 2 plays later, it was Patrick Smith to Max Seigel, 96 yards on that pass for a touchdown, extra point good, 4:04 remaining third quarter, 35-7. Again, Mount Lebanon defense gets a turnover on downs. Lebo puts together a 10-play, 76-yard drive, capped off by a 1-yard run by Chris Kombitsis. with 5:04 remaining in the fourth quarter, gets it to our final of 35-14. But you're right, Don. The drama of this game was taken out very, very quickly. Upper St. Clair, quick to jump out to that 35-0 lead, and their defense was absolutely stifling. They had Mount Lebanon had 91 total yards in the first half, again, 73 of those on their final drive of the half. Prior to that, just 18 yards throughout really most of the first half. Ethan Hellman, the quarterback for Upper St. Clair, was just outstanding. 17 of 22, 273 and 4 touchdowns. Nico DeRazzo, 5 catches, 127 and 3 touchdowns. So Upper St. Clair, you're right, picking up right where they left off, both offensively and defensively. I thought their defense was just stout. Patrick Smith, a great quarterback from Mount Lebanon, was really kept in check for the entirety of the night. So St. Clair off to a great start, and I'm sure looking forward to it. They return home in week 1 for a matchup with Cannon McMillan, and Mount Lebanon will host Penn Trafford back here at Mount Lebanon High School. But the Panthers off to a good start, 1-0 in 5A, looking to return and give themselves a chance.
Yeah, and I'm a big Patrick Smith fan, and I was surprised when I saw that score. Not that he can, do everything on both sides of the ball, but that's a very impressive start for Coach Junko and the Panthers tonight. Greg, we appreciate it. Take care, pal.
Hey, always a pleasure, Don. Thanks so much.
That's Greg A. Smith, ladies and gentlemen, checking in as Upper St. Clair takes care of business as they knock off Mount Lebanon. Let's take our first break. When we return, more recaps. Run down the scoreboard as well. It's the Week 0 edition of the WPIAL Scoreboard Show on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
Hi, my name is Bobby McVeigh. I'm a registered dietetic technician and a Highmark Health employee. After my daughter started classes at Seton Hill, I was inspired to enroll for myself. The flexibility of the online bachelor's degree program gave me the final nudge to take this step. Seton Hill is dedicated to making a difference in people's lives, and it's already made a difference in mine. Learn more about online degrees and certificates at setonhill.edu/online.
Week 0 edition of the WPIAL Scoreboard Show on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Don Rebel back at World Headquarters. Let's run down the scores we have. A lot of scores still to come because a lot of games, again, with the weather the temps hovering around 80 degrees at the start, it took its toll. These guys, the heat acclimation, they've only had 2 full weeks of practice. So a lot of stoppages, water breaks, et cetera, et cetera. North Allegheny scores with under a minute left. They come back to beat Woodland Hills 28-26. Upper St. Clair rolls over Mount Lebanon 35-14. Peters Township 42, Cannon McMillan 14. Alderdice from the City League over Fox Chapel 30-7. Connellsville stuns Latrobe 28-13. Kisk area shuts out Knock 21-0. Thomas Jefferson, defending 4A champs, 69-6 over Baldwin. Moon over Trinity. We'll get a recap from Matt Vandriak in a moment on that one. South Bay at 38. Chartiers Valley 15. Blackhawk wins at Beaver Falls 14-12. Newcastle blanks Penn Hills 12-0. Mars 42. Beavers 7. Avonworth, the defending 3A champions, defeat Burrell 35-6. North Catholic at J.C. Stone Field in North Park roll past Seton LaSalle 47-14. A lot of key players having left that Seton LaSalle team that was undefeated going into the 2A finals a year ago. Deer Lakes 23, Keystone Oaks 7. Derry defeats Ligonier Valley 33-14. Laurel 43, Elwood City 14. Mohawk defeats Neshannock 37-20. It was Waynesburg Central 50, West Green 6. New Brighton over Shenango 20-7, and Bentworth over Brownsville 47-6. So those are some of the final scores. Again, working to get the other late finishes into the books so we can pass them along to you. All right, let's get back to recapping some of the top games around the WPIAL in week 0. A matchup of Class 5A versus 4A tonight in Washington County. The Trinity Hillers hosting the Moon Tigers. Matt Vandriak had the call, and he joins us now from Trinity Stadium, where the Hillers come up 1 point shy of a victory, Matthew.
Don, it was a thriller in the land of the Hillers here tonight that took a while to develop, but sure had a fantastic finish as Moon outlasts Trinity here 14-13. No score for the first quarter. Trinity would strike first, a 25-yard touchdown pass. Jonah Williamson to Daniel Glass. PAT was good. And with 5:51 left in the opening half, it was 7-0 in favor of the Hillers. Moon would turn the ball over on a punting situation. Trinity would get it back, and they were driving in their own zone, but a forced fumble by Dravion Taylor set the Tigers up at the Hiller 23-yard line, and a couple plays later, a 6-yard touchdown run by Paul Bronow tied the game at 7 with 58 seconds left in the opening half. Would stay that way through halftime and the third quarter. No points would be put up until the final frame. As a matter of fact, we would score our last points in the last 98 seconds of regulation. 1:38 left in regulation, a broken play. Jonah Williamson took a bad snap and broke off an 82-yard touchdown run to put the Hillers on top 13-7 with 1:38 left in regulation. However, Moon's Miles Turner blocked the PAT. That's key because it was 13-7 Hillers. Ball goes back to Moon. At one timeout left to work with. Tigers, a couple of pass plays and a couple of Andrew Cross runs moved them into Trinity territory. And then with 20 seconds left, Cross, a 35-yard strike. He just threw a long ball into the right corner of the end zone. And Savio Vendetti runs underneath of it, makes the catch, and hauls it in for the score. And it's 13-13 before Moon would send out Evan Sienkiewicz with the game on his foot. Sienkiewicz splits the uprights, and the Tigers defeat the Hillers 14-13. So just like last year, Moon starts the season 1-0. Trinity starts 0-1. Both teams on the road next week with some geographic rivalry games. Moon will battle Montour. Speaking of weather, hopefully the weather's more favorable for those two teams because last year that game never got finished due to inclement weather, while Trinity will take the trip down the road in Washington County down Route 18 to take on McGuffey next week. A good one at the end on. You got what you want here tonight. Nobody got hurt. A lot of film to work from. And while the offenses obviously take more work to get together, it was a good defensive game. Travion Taylor for Moon for 2 fumbles tonight. But the key is no injuries, and you got a lot of good film to look at. And it was a competitive game for both these teams. And, of course, non-conference games are not hurting the playoff chase on.
No, that's a great point. Again, anytime you suit up, you want to win. But if you can be competitive against a good team, and there are high hopes for the Tigers this year again, then, I don't know that Trinity needs to be hanging its head. Keep preparing and get ready for a tough Big Six conference schedule.
Indeed, the Big Six conference. I believe that Ryan Lynn from Moon called the Big Six the SEC of high school football. It is the Allegheny Six. It's a very tough conference.
Yes.
Both of these teams, not just Moon. Trinity has high expectations this year too. As a team that a lot of people are looking at to finish second at worst behind Thomas Jefferson in the Big Six. So good look for both teams. A good game, competitive contest, and definitely one for both sides to grow onto.
Well, I heard you made a point during the game, and that's true, is that every team in that SEC or the Allegheny Six made it to the playoffs last year with the exception of Baldwin.
And the Highlanders had a tough night, I hear.
You heard correct.
The Jaguars basketball team might try to put those numbers up too.
Thank you, Matthew.
We'll see you next week.
All right, Matt Vandriak checking in. He had one of the few really tight ones down to the wire. Block extra points. Special teams, we especially we in the media are guilty of this. You focus on offense, skilled players, right? We've learned to pay more attention to the young men in the on the lines up front, in the pit, if you will, because they can be difference makers. You talk about defenses and how good this team defense is and how good that team defense is. Man, a lot of times, just like at any level of football, it comes down to special teams. And that was the case with Moon on a block extra point, beating Trinity 14-13. A couple new final scores in. Mount Pleasant beats Jeanette 29-23. Good win for the Vikings against the always tough Jayhawks. Peters Township over Cannon McMillan 42-14. Hampton beats University Prep out of the City League 24-14. Hopewell crushes Riverside 56-0. Albert Gallatin 48. Greensburg Salem 33. And Apollo Ridge over Leechburg by a score of 20-16. The waiting for one final in particular coming into tonight. Just want to make sure that I didn't miss that. Oh no, I didn't, because it's tomorrow. Coming into tonight, because there were no teams from the WPIAL that did not win a state championship last year, and that is rare air. The state championships began in 1988, only the second time that a District 7 team did not win PIAA gold in football. So there were no big, long winning streaks from teams that ended up winning state championships. The longest current win streaks coming into tonight, or week 0 weekend, 2 schools with 3-game win streaks. I think Clairton's 66-game win streak is kind of safe right now. West Mifflin, and they play tomorrow at the Wolverine against Elizabeth Forward. And Carmichael's one of 8 teams not playing this weekend, so they will not be able to build on their streak until next week. But both the Titans and Mighty Mikes last year ended 2024 with 3 consecutive victories, even though they didn't make the playoffs. A bunch of teams ended last year with a win. Again, teams that did not make the playoffs, obviously. And we'll try to figure out before we wrap things up at the top of the hour, which of those teams have now will carry a 2-game win streak into week 1 of the 2025 season. Let's pause for station identification. We'll pause 10 seconds here in week 0 on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
You're watching the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
Fancy. A couple more final scores. Oh, but the flip side, before we're talking about streaking, the flip side, we talked about West Mifflin and Carmichael's. 6 teams were winless a year ago and carry double-digit streaks into 2025, and we'd love to see these streaks coming to an end. Baldwin leads the way with their loss tonight to Thomas Jefferson. The Highlanders have now lost 20 consecutive games. Springdale not in action this week, so that number will hold. They won't have a chance to break it. They have dropped 16 in a row. Valley has lost 15 straight. Beaver Falls loses tonight, so they have now lost 12 in a row. McGuffey and Stowe Rocks both have lost 10 straight games. All right, let's get another recap of this matchup. We head north to beautiful Lawrence County, and beautiful Bessemer is where we find Lee Moan, as tonight the Mohawk Warriors an impressive win over a very good Neshannock team. The Warriors victorious. Hold on, don't say it, don't tell me. I got it right here. 37-20, Mohawk over Neshannock. Welcome to a new season, Lee Moe.
Yeah, thank you. Used to be on at playoff time or something, but it's nice to be on the first week of the season, get things started. Last year, it was a 42-37 victory for Neshannock. This year, you just mentioned Mohawk able to defeat Neshannock 37-20, but it started out in Neshannock just 56 seconds in, a 68-yard pass from Gino Mazzocco to Ethan Beeman made it 7-0, a three-play 85 yards, but Neshannock Mohawk would answer right back on a 9-play 75-yard drive capped off by a 1-yard run by Bobby Fadden, making it 7-6. Mohawk will go back up 12-7 after missing the extra point again. A 15-yard run by Cash Stratton, making it 12-7. Neshannock answers right back on a 9-yard run by Gino Mazzocco. They take the 13-12 lead, and then just 49 seconds left in the half. A great pass from Bobby Fadden, falling backwards and hit Cash Stratton over the middle, and he streaked down the field. Our Melee Chiropractic play of the game, 47-yard pass to Cash Stratton. They went up 19-13 at the half. Andrew Lloyd kicked a 25-yard field goal midway through the third quarter for Mohawk, and then Bobby Fadden with a 1-yard run, making it 30-13 Mohawk at the end of 3. Mazzocco, a 27-yard run in the fourth quarter with 9:59 left. They creep back in, but again, Mohawk answering right back, and Cash Stratton with a 2-yard run. They cap it off with a 37-20 victory. On the night, Bobby Fadden unofficially 10 of 17 on the night, 164 yards and 1 TD. Then he capped off with 89 yards rushing and 2 TDs. And Cash Stratton, 20 carries, 133 yards, 1 TD rushing and 1 receiving. And the offensive line for Mohawk, just very impressive tonight. Was really controlled the second half and was able to perform and do very well against Neshannock. But overall, a very well played game for both teams. I think both coaches going to be very happy with the way they came out. No injuries other than the usual cramp issues. So, but both coaches and both teams, you'll be hearing from them strongly, and both teams playoff bound. I think coming. I mean, it's prediction, but very good performances here in the first week.
I think a pretty safe one there, Lee, because Neshannock I think was ranked number 2 or 3 in our preseason top 5 in Class A, and while Mohawk was not in 2A, I could see them as they start hopefully for them stacking victories. They will be a player that is garnering attention very, very quickly.
Well, when you have a quarterback like Bobby Fadden,
he's special.
He is unreal. So remember the first cousin of Jay Rona. So related there. So a lot of athletic ability.
Somehow, some way, that family tree, the family trees up in Lawrence County all sort of somehow angle, and that's why those teams have so many great athletes and so many great teams, no matter what sport you're talking about, up in the Great White North. Lee, take care. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it. Take care.
All right, Lee Moan. He was in on the call on the Lawrence County Sports Network, Lawrence County Sportsnet, of Mohawk 37 and Neshannock 20. All right, we're coming up on another break, but let's get a rundown of the scores for those folks just joining us. North Allegheny scores late. They win 28-26 over Woodland Hills. Upper St. Clair 35, Mount Lebanon 14, Hempfield 28, North Hills 23, Plum 42, Franklin Regional 13, Peters Township 42, Cannon McMillan 14, Alderdice over Fox Chapel 30-7, Connellsville stuns Latrobe 28-13. Kiski area blanks Knock 21-0. Thomas Jefferson all over Baldwin 69-6. Moon 14, Trinity 13, South Fayette 38, Chartiers Valley 15, Blackhawk edges Beaver Falls 14-12. Newcastle shuts out Penn Hills 12-0. Hampton 24, University Prep 14, Mars 42, Beaver 7. Avonworth beats up on Burrell 35-6. Hopewell crushes Riverside 56-0. Washington 28, McGuffey 7. North Catholic 47, Seton LaSalle 14. Quaker Valley 38, Freedom 20. Deer Lake's a winner over Keystone Oaks 23-7. It was Derry 33, Ligonier Valley 14. Albert Gallatin 48, Greensburg Salem 33. Mount Pleasant over Jeanette 29-23. Apollo Ridge 20, Leechburg 16. Our Lady of the Sacred Heart 27, Rochester 0. Mohawk 37-20 over Neshannock. Laurel 43, Elwood City 14. Monessen shuts out Charleroi 44-0. Southside 48, Stowe Rock 6. Waynesburg Central 50, West Green 6. New Brighton 20, Shenango 7, and Bentworth over Brownsville 47-6. All right, when we return, more scores, more recaps, and coming up at the bottom of the hour, the first edition of the Round Table. Yes, even in week 0. It's the WPIAL Scoreboard Show on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
Hi, I'm Adam Goodnack, and I'm a student in Seton Hill University's Wukich School of Nursing. I did my clinical rounds throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, and it strengthened my belief in the path that I chose. I could really feel that I was making an impact. The faculty in my coursework at Seton Hill has prepared me to dive right into my field. I've received personalized support and expert guidance. I'm moving forward as a nurse of tomorrow at Seton Hill University.
This is Micah. He tweaked his shoulder. So did Max. And Miles did too. And while they could all use some quality PT, at AHN Sports Medicine, we know they each need a little something different to make a comeback. Our doctors and specialists pinpoint that difference and make a personalized rehab plan to protect Miles' backswing and Max's throwing arm and Micah's serve. Because at AHN Sports Medicine, we see you.
Hi, my name is Bobby McVeigh. I'm a registered dietetic technician and a Highmark Health employee. After my daughter started classes at Seton Hill, I was inspired to enroll for myself. The flexibility of the online bachelor's degree program gave me the final nudge to take this step. Seton Hill is dedicated to making a difference in people's lives, and it's already made a difference in mine. Learn more about online degrees and certificates at setonhill.edu/online.
This is Miles. He needs PT. Jess needs training. And Max needs both. And while they're all athletic, at AHN Sports Medicine, we know they each need a little something different to hit their goals. Our doctors and specialists pinpoint that difference and make a personalized plan to improve Miles' backswing and Max's throwing arm and Jess's form. Because at AHN Sports Medicine, we see you.
We don't see you, but you see us, and we appreciate you joining us. The Week 0 edition of the WPIAL Scoreboard Show here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Our producer is Chris Lackner. I'm Don Rebel. And again, we thank you for joining us. All right. Again, let's continue to run down. We have a couple of more recaps still to come, and then at the bottom of the hour, the award-winning Roundtable, Week 0 edition. Upper St. Clair over Mount Lebanon, 35-14. North Allegheny scores with 50 seconds left. They come back to beat Woodland Hills in a great opener at the Wolverine at 28-26. Pine Richland, a winner, the number 1 team in Class 5A, defending champs. They take care of business. Whoa, almost put that in the wrong spot. On the road, 38-7, they win over Findlay, Ohio. That game in Ohio. Findlay, Ohio. Sound familiar? Anyone? Big Ben's alma mater. Ben Roethlisberger played at Findlay, Ohio. And the Rams successful in winning at Findlay, Ohio tonight, 38-7. Peters Township 42-14 over Cannon McMillan. Hempfield defeats North Hills 28-23. It was Butler 32, Shaler 26, Plum 42-13 over Franklin Regional, Connellsville 28, Latrobe 13, Alderdice 30, Fox Chapel 7. Kiscaria blanks Knock 21-0. Moon 14, Trinity 13, Blackhawk 14, Beaver Falls 12. Thomas Jefferson 69, Baldwin 6, South Fayette 38, Chartiers Valley 15, Western Beaver 42, Ambridge 7. First official night game at Rich Needballa Field in industry. Western Beaver, they put the permanent lights up now, leaving only Riverview and the Summit Academy as the only two WPIAL schools that play a majority, if not all, their home games on Saturday afternoon. I shed a tear. Newcastle over Penn Hills, 12-0. Keep your eye on the Red Hurricanes this year. Hampton 24, University Prep 14, Mars 42, and Beaver 7. South Allegheny knocks off Ringgold 33-21, Avonore 35, Burrell 6, Hopewell 56-0 over Riverside. That was a game that was supposed to be played at Riverside. They moved it to Tony Dorsett Stadium, and Hopewell makes Riverside's trip a rather miserable one, 56-0 Vikings over the Panthers. Washington 28, McGuffey 7, Quaker Valley 38, Freedom 20, North Catholic 47, Seton LaSalle 14. Deer Lakes 23, Keystone Oaks 7, Albert Gallatin 48, Greensburg Salem 33. A lot of points being scored on a beautiful night in southwestern Pennsylvania. Derry 33, Ligonier Valley 14, Mount Pleasant 29, and Jeanette 23. Apollo Ridge 20, Leechburg 16, Our Lady of the Sacred Heart 27, Rochester 0. Laurel 43-14 over Elwood City, Mohawk 37, Neshannock 20. Carleton defeats Carrick 20-12, Monessen 44, Charleroi 0. Southside 48, Stowe Rock 6, Waynesburg Central 50, West Green 6, New Brighton 20, Shenango 7, and Bentworth over Bronzeville 47-6. Coming up tomorrow at noon in Oakmont, Riverview will be taking on Beth Center. 3 games at the Wolverina coming up tomorrow at noon. McKeesport will take on Delaware Valley, the Warriors from Eastern PA. Coming up at 3:30, it's Steel Valley, the number 1 team in the HSSN preseason Class 2A rankings, taking on Westinghouse. City Power going for their 4th straight District 8 championship. And then at 7 o'clock, Elizabeth Forward taking on West Mifflin. And we know, as we mentioned earlier, at stake in that one, West Mifflin and their 3-game win streak, which is the second longest win streak currently in the WPIAL. All right. 2 more finals. Freeport 28-0 over Indiana. And it was South Park, defending 2A champs, off to a good start in a offensive matchup. The Eagles knock off East Allegheny by a score of 33-26. Just a couple of a lot of coaches making their debut tonight. Some successful, some not so successful. Don Barclay at Seneca Valley. Great story on him and his father. The Raiders losing tonight in their opener. Colin Hoff, the new Kiscaria coach, a winner. Tom McIntyre at Latrobe on the short end. Steve Spence at Chartiers Valley, they lose. Mark Zelinskis back at Indiana, they fall. Knock, TJ Wiley, they come up on the short end of the stick. Dom Girardi at Burrell, they fall. Tom Eschenbaugh, successful debut as head coach at Quaker Valley. Scott DeYounger falls in his debut at Charleroi. Joe Coons wins his debut at Waynesburg Central. Donnie Phillips, I think Rochester fell to Our Lady of the Sacred Heart. Legendary coach Don Phillips in the Beaver County area. Back at taking over for, speaking of legends, Gene Matsuk at Rochester. Rams fell tonight, but Don Phillips back in the saddle again. And Cody Castor at Brownsville loses his opener. Two coaches that I do want to mention before we take a quick break, and that is Mike Evans at Cannon McMillan, Pat Carey at North Hills. Both coaches, they're still the head coaches of their respective programs, but both taking a sabbatical, taking the season off because of health reasons, battling some health issues. Our prayers are with both in their health battles, that they will be back this time next year on the sidelines at Cannon McMillan for Coach Evans and at North Hills for Coach Carey. Running the ship in their stead, Brian DeLello at Cannon McMillan, Brody Zangaro at North Hills, both coming up on the short end of the stick here tonight. But more importantly, again, our thoughts and prayers go out to those two coaches as they take the season off. Smart move. Again, really kind of unprecedented, but smart. Their passion is still there. They just knew that they wouldn't be able to give what they are asking the players to give. So they step aside, and we wish them well. All right, another quick break. When we return, still waiting on a couple of recaps and some final scores still out there, too. We hope to fill in the blanks, if you will. It's week 0 of the WPIAL Scoreboard Show on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
We are Pennsylvania Broadcasters, your hometown radio and television stations. We bring you breaking news. We keep you safe. We serve your community. In good times and in bad, your local broadcasters are always there. We are deeply rooted in your small towns and your big cities. We champion a strong sense of civic pride. No matter how we connect, over the air, online, or on your device, we are Pennsylvania Broadcasters. There when it matters.
I officiate PIAA sports, and I am an accountant.
I officiate PIAA sports, and I'm a teacher.
I'm a PIAA basketball official. I'm a firefighter. I'm a father, and I'm also a fan. I think it's easy for people to forget that we are regular people, that the same people I'm refereeing, that my kid plays with those kids sometimes. My kids play in the same league as these kids.
One of the greatest aspects of officiating is building relationships with the partners you're working games with, getting to know them as people, and also building relationships with the players and the coaches that are on the field with you every game.
These kids work so hard day in and day out, and you get to watch the benefit of them getting a new personal record, them making that bar that they've been dreaming of for weeks, and you get to have the front row seat to witness that every single day.
We are Pennsylvania Broadcasters, your hometown radio and television stations. In a state of 12 million people, we have a presence in markets big and small, bringing you breaking news, serving your community, and delivering the information you need to know.
And we just got an update from police.
We represent more than 35 broadcast TV stations and more than 350 radio stations. Pennsylvania Broadcasters are a thriving economic engine for the Commonwealth, but it's our community impact that really matters. Broadcast professionals are the living links between Pennsylvania families and the charities, communities, cultural attractions, and events that make our communities better. We are deeply rooted in your small towns and your big cities. Our stations feature your local organizations and businesses, as well as the people behind them. And we are your bridge to the world, bringing news, sports, and entertainment from around the world to your doorstep. We champion a strong sense of civic pride, whether it means giving back or showcasing worthy causes. We work hard every day to bring our communities closer together, in good times and in bad. Your local broadcasters are always there.
I want to get back to the breaking news right now.
Pennsylvania broadcasters are reaching viewers and listeners no matter where they are, over the air, online, or on your device. Local stations are the #1 source for news, weather, sports, and community information. We are Pennsylvania broadcasters.
There when you need us.
There when it matters.
Broadcasting high school sports in Western Pennsylvania for 25 years, this is the Trib Live High School Sports Network. 25-26, who's counting? Scoreboard show continues on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Don Rebel with you. Melissa Gold on the X says, what about Gateway? Bad news, Melissa. The Gators go to District 6 Power State College and fall to the Little Lions. State College 20, Gateway 6. Tough assignment for the Gators in their home opener next week as they take on North Allegheny. Speaking of the North Allegheny Tigers, they win, score a late touchdown to defeat Woodland Hills 28-26. Upper St. Clair 35, Mount Lebanon 14, Bethel Park 43, Seneca Valley 26. Penn Trafford edges Norwin 34-31. Peters Township 42, Cannon McMillan 14. Pine Richland 38, Findlay, Ohio 38-7, the final score. The Trojans fall to the Rams. Hempfield 28, North Hills 23, Plum 42, Franklin Regional 13, Butler 32, Shaler 26, Alderdice over Fox Chapel 30-7. Connellsville 28, Latrobe 13, and as I mentioned, State College 20-6 over Gateway. Kiski area blanks Knock 21-0, Thomas Jefferson 69, Baldwin 6, South Fayette 38-15 over Chartiers Valley, Moon 14, Trinity 13, Blackhawk 14, Beaver Falls 12, Western Beaver 42, Ambridge 7, Newcastle shuts out Penn Hills 12-0, Montour 27, Central Valley 20. Hampton over University Prep 24-14, Mars 42, Beaver 7. It was South Allegheny 33, Ringgold 21, Avonworth 35-6 over Burrell, Washington 28, McGuffey 7, Hopewell all over Riverside 56-0, North Catholic 47, Seat LaSalle 14. A recap of that coming up in a moment. Quaker Valley 38-20 over Freedom, South Park 33, East Allegheny 26, and Deer Lakes 23-7 over Keystone Oaks. Southmoreland 40, Valley 0. 48-33, Albert Gallatin over Greensburg Salem, Derry 33, Ligonier Valley 14, and Mount Pleasant 29, Jeanette 23, Apollo Ridge 20, Leechburg 16, Our Lady of the Sacred Heart 27, Rochester 0, Laurel 43-14 over Elwood City, Mohawk at home over Neshannock 37-20. Carlinton defeats Carrick 20-12, Monessen 44, Charleroi 0, Southside 48, Stowe Rock 6, Waynesburg Central 50, West Green 6, New Brighton 20-7 over Shenango, Bentworth 47, Bronzeville 6, and Avella knocks off Mapletown 41-6. Jefferson Morgan defeats Chartiers Houston 42-7. California big over Sarah Catholic 44-14. And Imani Christian defeats Clareton 19-12. So the Bears, who didn't lose a game all year until Acrisure Stadium when they lost to the Fort Cherry Rangers in a thrilling championship game. The opening of Tyler Boyd Stadium, Clareton loses to Imani Christian, one of the top teams in 3A, so no shame there. 19-12, the final score. An update on that Gateway game, and I hope Melissa Gold's no longer listening because it was worse than I thought. We said 20-6. Final score was State College 41 and Gateway 14. So 20-6 might have been a halftime score, and that might have been good enough for the Gators, but they lose 41-14 at State College. All right, let's get a recap from a battle played at North Park. Two old rivals going back to the old Catholic League days when it was South Hills Catholic against North Catholic. Now it's Seton LaSalle taking on North Catholic, and an impressive start to the season for the homestanding Trojans as Bob Orquist checks in, as he had the call on the network of that one. Robert, good evening.
Yeah, no question. That's a rivalry that dates back to 1959, thanks to your great factoid. No problem for North Catholic, 47-14. They scored on their first three drives. They threw a defensive touchdown in the mix. The passing game is good, but Logan Shade, the running back, was also good. He scored the first two touchdowns on the first two drives from 9 and then 19. He also scored a 10-yarder, which put the mercy rule in effect in the third quarter with 69 yards rushing total and the 3 touchdowns. But they went up 14-0, and then a pick six. Will Waskowitz intercepted Jack Mead's pass and 26-yard pick six to make it 20-0. Meade then found Matthew Brodzinski on a nice long pass of 52 yards to get Seton LaSalle on the board. It was 20-7. But then the dynamic duo, Joey Felitsky, and Riker Kennedy, who combined last year for 97 completions and over 1,200 yards, touchdown passes on back-to-back drives of 40 and 34 to put the game out of reach. Tom Arth also picked up a fumble or bad snap over top of DeAndre Hill's head, and he picked it up at the 5-yard line and ran it in. One of 5 Seton LaSalle turnovers, by the way. Arth scored. It was 41-7 at halftime, 47-7 before Kymar Freeman scored the last touchdown for Seton LaSalle. Jack Mead, in his first varsity start, he was the JV quarterback last year, threw for 104 yards, but he was intercepted 3 times. Again, 5 turnovers for Seton LaSalle. Felitsky, effective, 11 of 15 for 259, the 2 touchdowns to Kennedy with 4 catches and 77 yards. And Logan Shade was good. The defense was also good, took advantage of the turnovers, did North Catholic. Seton LaSalle, you talked about Claret not losing to the end of the season. Seton LaSalle had won 11 in a row last year, so now they've got a 2-game winning streak stretching over the last 2 seasons. They're back non-conference next week, Seton LaSalle, Saturday against Bishop Canevin. North Catholic's on a 3-game non-conference homestand on next week. Blackhawk is here at J.C. Stone Field, but they were pretty impressive. They played well at the end of last year after they stopped their losing streak, got to the quarterfinals and lost in a shootout late to Elizabeth Forward, and Coach Rizzo, Chris Rizzo, thought that was kind of a carryover. For Tim Serino, it was sort of a tumultuous offseason with transfers, and is Anthony Smith going to play? Is he not? They got a chance to play football for real, but it didn't really work out, so they'll go back to the drawing board. They also have 3 non-conference games as well. So once again, 1-0 for North Catholic, 0-1 for Seton LaSalle, 47-14. 2 things. The Deer here in the parking lot at J.C. Stone Field, we're happy to hear that the Lancers from Deer Lakes were victorious. And also, this, you mentioned 25 and 26. Just on a personal note, Don, this starts year number 40 for me broadcasting. So back to you.
Let the Deer know, congratulations, by the way, happy 40th anniversary. Let the Deer know that the Antelopes also were winners. So
they're happy. They're happy all around.
Yeah, they will be leaping for joy.
Probably be happier if I had some crumbs that are out the window, but I don't. But they'll take the 2 victories, and we'll see you next week.
Excellent. Thanks, pal.
Sure thing.
The great Bob Orquist, 4 decades of high school football action under his belt, as a victory under the belt of the North Catholic Trojans, an impressive win this evening as they roll past Seton LaSalle. A couple other finals that we had not delivered. Highlands defeats Armstrong in a good one, 31-28, and Laurel Highlands shuts out Uniontown 27-0. Shadyside Academy 28, Greensburg Central Catholic 26. Chris Lackner tells me that the game-winning touchdown came on 4th and goal with 10 seconds left for the Bulldogs. A little easier in week 0 to take those kind of chances. Well, they had to go for it, right? They were down by 4 at least. 28-26, Shadyside Academy with the win over Greensburg Central Catholic. All right, let's get our final recap, and that'll sort of slide us in to the round table. Sean Saputo joins us now, still stuck in the beautiful South Hills at Bethel Park. He had a long one. A lot of points on the board as Bethel Park defeats Seneca Valley.
1,100 yards of total offense combined will keep you around for about 3.5 hours. Bethel Park, it was all Blackhawks really in the first half. David Dennison started the scoring in the first quarter with a 9-yard touchdown run, and it was followed by a Charlie Simmons 13-yard reception from Evan Devine, and Bethel Park was up 14-0 with 2:26 to go in the first. But then one play right away, Seneca Valley right back in it. Rory O'Shea, a 53-yard touchdown reception from Andrew Lobig, cut the score to 14-6 as the extra point was no good. But then scoring just stopped until late second quarter. Bethel Park puts the only touchdown on the board with 1:57 to go as Dennison scores from 11 yards out, and Bethel Park took a 21-6 lead into the half. Scoring in the third quarter, one score by Bethel Park. It was Dennison's third touchdown of the night from 17 yards out. Braden Bruckner would bobble the extra point snap and run it in for 2 points, and Bethel Park would lead 29-6 going into the fourth quarter when things got really chaotic. Seneca Valley, on the first play of the fourth quarter, O'Shea scores his second touchdown of the night from 69 yards out on a pass from Lobig. The extra point made it 29-13. Seneca Valley would surprise Bethel Park with an onside kick, and then Lobig on 3rd and 9 would score from 58 yards out. Seneca Valley would go for 2, unsuccessful, and it was then 29-19. Bethel would respond with a 5-minute drive, which ended in Dennison's 4th touchdown of the night to make it 36-19. But then right back down the field went Seneca Valley as Adam Gem scored from 14 yards out with the extra point. Seneca Valley was back down by 10 at 36-26, had a chance to recover a second onside kick that just went through the hands of one of the Warriors, of one of the Raiders at the 28-yard line inside Bethel Park territory, and Bethel Park would respond with a Santino Noengenics 57-yard touchdown reception from Evan Devine to end the scoring with 2:41 to go in the fourth quarter to get the final to 43-26. For the losers at Seneca Valley, Lobig was fantastic. Last year only threw for 646 yards. Tonight goes 12 for 21 for 273 yards and 3 touchdowns, and then also led the team in rushing with 70 yards on 7 carries with a touchdown on the ground. O'Shea with 2 catches, 122 yards, and 2 touchdowns to lead the way. Seneca put up 440 yards of offense. On the Bethel Park side, 660 yards of offense. Evan Devine throws for 15 for 27 for 359 yards, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception in his first start. Dennison goes for 35 carries, 240 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Noengenic ends with 5 catches, 160 yards, and a touchdown. And Will Sabatis also goes over 100 with 7 catches for 127 yards. So again, 1,100 total combined yards of offense. Bethel Park continues its 3-game homestand next week with Mars to start the year. And then for Seneca Valley, they will head home for the first time in 2025. They'll square off against North Hills. But, Don, it was really a big change for Seneca Valley. You could see what Don Barclay did for this team and how he changed this offense. They averaged just over 200 yards last year, and they put together 440 yards of offense. But Bethel Park, it doesn't seem like it matters who the quarterback is. That offense just rolls. And, again, 660 yards is impressive.
We could take a quick break, or do you want to go right into it, pal? I'll let you make that call.
Let's go right into it.
All right. He wants to go right into it. Our producer, I'm kind of lost here on this side. Christopher, can you flip us? There we go. Whew, man.
Do you feel safer now?
I do. I feel, yes. It's like the old George Costanza where you have to be on the one side to make your move. I got to be on this side to properly host the round table. Our week 0 edition, Sean Saputo, probably didn't think he would be doing this at the press box at Bethel Park, but we appreciate him hanging in there. We do have a couple finals that we're waiting for, but one game that it started late, the second game at the Wolverina after that North Allegheny thriller over Woodland Hills. They're into the fourth quarter. LaSalle College, our Trib HSSN number 2 team in 6A, leading Central Catholic, the number 3 team in 6A, 16-6, headed to the fourth quarter. If we get a final before we're done here at the top of the hour, we'll pass that along to you. So I'll give you scores and you just tell me, we'll do it in chunks. You just tell me what, if anything, jumps out. North Allegheny 28-26 over Woodland Hills. Upper St. Clair 35, Mount Lebanon 14. The game you had to call on, Bethel Park 43, Seneca Valley 26. Penn Trafford 34-13 over Norwin, and Peters Township 42, Cannon McMillan 14.
I mean, a lot of what you would expect, I would say, out of that first bunch of scores. You expect Peters Township, you expect Upper St. Clair to continue to roll. I mean, this Allegheny 6 conference in 5A is arguably the best in the WPIAL in terms of all-around talent. North Allegheny, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they do, this season. I know they lost a good bit from last year's team. They got a big fight against Woodland Hills to start the year. They came back in that game. They were down at halftime. I saw 14-10, but I'm interested to see what North Allegheny can do as the year progresses when they get to that first matchup against Central Catholic. I know a lot of us are expecting those two teams to be the teams in 6A to meet in the championship as the preseason 1 and 2. But, can they continue to progress? And that Woodland Hills team is a really good Woodland Hills team, and it's no knock on them losing to North Allegheny. But I want to see how North Allegheny progresses this year. And I thought they would maybe win by a little bit more, but I'm not surprised because I think Woodland Hills is I don't want to call them a sleeper, but I think considering you have Pine Richland, Peters Township, Bethel Park, Upper St. Clair, the list goes on at 5A. I think Woodland Hills is a threat to make it to the championship game in 5A for sure.
And again, we saw this last year, 5A off and running in their non-conference meetings against 6A. North Allegheny over Woodland Hills. Hempfield beats North Hills 28-23. Those are the only two. Now, Central Catholic, again, is playing a team from out of state. But if they do not come back and win, the 6A teams will be 2-5 here in week 0. Again, last year they struggled mightily in head-to-head matchups against teams from the Class 5A. Mention Hempfield over North Hills. Pine Richland wins in Ohio over Findlay, your boy Big Ben's alma mater, 38-7. Shaler falls at home to Butler, 32-26. Plum, impressive win at Franklin Regional, 42-13. Highlands, 31. Armstrong, 28. Alderdice over Fox Chapel, 30-7. Two more. Connellsville, 28. Latrobe, 13. And State College, 41. Gateway, 14.
Yeah, that's a tough matchup for Gateway. I was a little surprised how bad they lost that one. Going back to Latrobe, I think they lost a good bit from last year's team. So I know Connellsville started out pretty decent last year, and then they kind of faltered as the year went on. But, I think Latrobe lost a lot from that team. Highlands, I'm a little high on that Highlands team. I'm kind of surprised by how close that game ended up being because you're talking about a Highlands team that took Amani Christian to the brink in the postseason last year. So they seem to just always start slow and really start to pick things up as the year goes on. But tip of the cap to Plum. I mean, going to Franklin Regional and just picking up it wasn't a close game. That was a dominant win by the Mustangs. And that's a team that, people should keep some eyes on as a potential playoff threat this year.
Yeah, that's a big win. It's a rivalry game, next door neighbors, and to win big on the road. A great start to the season for the Stangs. Good start for Kisk area. They blank knocked 21-0. It was Moon edging Trinity 14-13, a block extra point. The difference in that one, another tight one. Blackhawk beats Beaver Falls 14-12. Western Beaver, they bring out the lights in industry, and the Golden Beavers celebrate with a 42-7 win over Ambridge. South Fayette 38, Chartiers Valley 15. Lions, a team that you'll see next week. And Thomas Jefferson 69, Baldwin 6. The Highlanders, now longest current losing streak in the WPIAL, bumps up to 20.
Out of that one, Thomas Jefferson, that's a machine. What else can you say? Baldwin, that Baldwin team, if you look at that score, that Baldwin team is not as bad as they were last year. They're definitely getting better, but that is just a really rough first game to have on your schedule. Kiski, good start for them. I mean, I know they hit some lows late in the season last year, but Kiski off to a hot start. And, South Fayette, I'm excited to see them next week. That's another team I didn't even mention from this Allegheny 6 conference that is a threat to make a run in this classification. I love to see how close that Moon Trinity game was, because I think Moon was a lot like their team they had about 5-6 years ago. They were really young that time, and then it took that 1 year for them to make that step to go play for a championship game. I think they're kind of in that territory right now. And Trinity, that intrigues me, because I think Trinity and Bell Vernon are right there, is that kind of 2A, 2B behind Thomas Jefferson in Class 4A in that section. And Trinity last year got shut out by Moon. So big comeback by Jonah Williamson. He's a solid quarterback in the district. He's going to Penn. So nice to see that they gave a really tight game to a solid Moon Tiger team. And it makes 4A look pretty good in that matchup.
I want to give a shout out to, speaking of Trinity, found out today that Richie Rich, their outstanding athletic director, is moving on. He's getting away from the whole athletic director educational aspect of his career, going in a different direction. Wish him nothing but the best. Great dude, and always was a big help for us, no matter what school he was at. Moon, Trinity, as ironically enough. Yeah. So he is leaving Trinity. We wish him nothing but the best. Class act.
Cheers to Richie Rich.
Oh, very good. Richie
Cheers.
Rich. All right, let's get back. You mentioned 4A. Couple impressive wins tonight by 4A teams. First, Newcastle at home. They blanked Penn Hills 12-0. And this is a Penn Hills team that's getting some love coming into this 2025 season. So a great start for the Red Hurricanes, 12-0. And Montour wins at Central Valley 27-0. Lucero's had some pretty good teams over the last couple of years. Saw an interesting quote by him in that they're a young team this year, young Spartan squad, but he likes the fact that they're playing, there aren't any superstars, and they're gelling together as one. They obviously have some skill there. So big test coming up next week, their home opener, when they take on Moon, both teams winning here tonight. But that was a really impressive win against one of the top teams in 3A in Central Valley.
Well, Central Valley the last 2 years has had a brutal opening stretch to the season, because if you look back at last year, they lost 6 games, but they were in the championship game. I mean, that they play a very hard non-section schedule out of conference. It is very tough. But if you look at Montour, I know they're a young team, but you look at the quarterback position. They lose their starting quarterback. They have a new quarterback, a younger kid in there that I've heard, could be just as good as the quarterback that graduated last year, but they do have skill around. I mean, Batch is a good receiver. Halajo is a great running back for Montour. So I'm not surprised that Montour hasn't lost a step. That is a really quality win. I'm interested to see how Montour. I wanted to see how Montour bounced back after how last year went, where they pulled off that big win against Aliquippa at the end of the year, but then they go into the postseason and then Mars just stuns everybody and takes Montour right out of it from the get-go. So I would say that is a big bounce back for Montour to go in and get a really quality win against a really solid team.
All right. Couple more finals involving teams from Class 4A. Hampton wins against University Prep 24-14. Freeport shuts out Indiana 28-0. Mars, nice win at Beaver. The Bobcats are still considered one of the better teams in the classification, but they lose big at home to the Fighting Planets 42-7, and Laurel Highlands blanks Uniontown 27-0.
Mars is going to be a really good team this year. I saw them last year with Heim still there. That team can only continue to go up, I think, and that is a really quality, dominant win to open the season. We talk about the 4A classification. You look at your heavy hitters. You look at the top with Thomas Jefferson, Aliquippa, McKeesport. I mean, those are the teams you're going to expect. But Mars has that ability to make a semifinal, even a championship run this year. And when you have Eric Kasparovich leading the helm, I mean, he can win anywhere and do about anything he wants to do. He's that good of a coach. So Mars, impressive, and I can't say I'm surprised by what they were able to pull out tonight.
Trey Hopper, the former quarterback at Montour, yes.
I was trying to remember his name. I knew it was Trey. I didn't want to mess up the last name, so I kept it, without making myself look like a fool.
WPIAL Week 0. It's the round table here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, the WPIAL Scoreboard Show. Don Rebel and Sean Saputo. We continue on. South Allegheny coming off a big season a year ago. They win at home over Ringgold 33-21. Avonworth 35, Burrell 6. Lopes next week travel to West Mifflin. Washington 28, McGuffey 7, and Hopewell pounds Riverside 56-0.
Hopewell is one of those teams where you look at them, you see 4-6 record last year, but I think that's going to be a really tough team to compete against this year. I think Hopewell is going to take another step and be a really quality team this year. I love that 3A classification. I think 3A is such a wide open classification. I know Avonworth's really good. I know the Lopes are going to be, looking to defend that championship, but I think 3A is so wide open when you have the South Alleghenies, the Avonworths, you have a Hopewell team that's up and coming, and I'm not even naming a couple other teams, Central Valley being one of them. That is going to be one of the more fun classifications to watch this season, I do believe.
Rough night for the neighboring teams, the two schools right across the street from each other in Dormont. North Catholic pounds Seton LaSalle 47-14, and Keystone Oaks loses at home to Deer Lakes 23-7. South Park, good start for the defending 2A champs. They win at East Allegheny. Wasn't easy, 33-26. And Quaker Valley wins by 18 over Freedom, 38-20.
It's crazy to think, because just a couple months ago we were looking at Seton LaSalle as probably the heavy favorite, or 1A, 1B with Steel Valley in that Class 2A. But, I mean, with everything that transpired, with the loss of Khalil Taylor, with the loss of Little John, with Anthony Smith not being deemed eligible, I mean, they went from having the possibility of having a really solid quarterback and Anthony Smith coming in and taking over the reins, to then having a quarterback that comes in and threw 4 passes the entire season last year. And then they lose their top 2 targets and playmakers. It's just
total upheaval.
Yeah, I mean, I feel really bad for how everything over a 2-month span really completely changed the complexion of what Seton LaSalle was looking at having in this 2025 year. Washington, I mean, that's a really good team. I think Washington's going to surprise a lot of people this year. But, I mean, Keystone Oaks, shout out to RNG Remodeling, our sponsor for that game tonight. But Deer Lakes, I mean, that they're a scrappy team. In Keystone Oaks, I think that was a tough first game to go out and play against a team that's, like I just said, really scrappy in Deer Lakes.
Speaking of, Sean's just mentioning about 3A and the depth there. Don't forget about Imani Christian. Good start to the season for the Saints. They christened Tyler Boyd Stadium or Tyler Boyd Field at in Clairton, with a 19-12 victory over the Bears, the number 2 team in Class A. Derry 33, Ligonier Valley 14. Albert Gallatin 48-33 over Greensburg-Salem. The Colonials playing an independent schedule this year. And Southmoreland, Anthony who? The Scotties win at Valley 40-0.
Is it Tyler Boyd Field at Neil C. Brown Stadium? What's the official name of that?
That might be it. That might be it.
I mean, I said I was going to probably leave somebody out when we mentioned 3A just a little bit ago, but Amani's one of them. I mean, that's a really quality team. A couple of big-time players on that team, including Jenkins, who just made his commitment to Penn State recently. Clairton, I mean, that just shows how top-tier Clairton is and how hard it's going to be to get past a team like Clairton and Fort Cherry in 1A, because Clairton played a war tonight against Imani Christian and was right there in it with one of 3A's best in the Saints. But I mean, it's just wild to think that you have a top 3A team going up against a top 1A team, and that's the kind of battle you get, and that shows how tough 1A is going to be to break down some of those teams at the top.
Yep. Another team with a nice victory from Class 3A, Mount Pleasant at home defeats Class A Power Jeanette 29-23. York 21, Brentwood 14. Our Lady of the Sacred Heart ruins Don Phillips' debut or re-debut as head coach at Rochester. 27-0 Chargers over the Rams. And Apollo Ridge beats Leechburg 20-16.
Mount Pleasant is what sticks out to me because I was looking at scores. We had a couple instances, probably about 8 or 9, where cramps took over the game here. So we had some time to check out some scores. Mount Pleasant, I saw, was losing 23-6 at one point in that game. And to come all the way back and take down Jeanette, I mean, Jeanette's one of those teams a lot of people were expecting to be, really good. And Mount Pleasant's not a team that a lot of people look at and would say that would be, a surprising final score. And I would say out of that grouping, that's the one that catches my eye the most.
All right. We continue on looking at the scores from week 0. Shadyside Academy scores with on a 4th and goal with 10 seconds left to come back and beat Greensburg Central Catholic 28-26. Good win for the Bulldogs. Laurel 43, Elwood City 14, and a nice start for Mohawk. The boys from Bessemer defeat Neshannock, the number 2 team, I believe, in our preseason Class A, or the number 3 team in our preseason Class A top 5 rankings. Mohawk 37, Neshannock 20.
My partner tonight, Ty Polk, he works a lot with a good friend of ours, James Dotson, up in the Lawrence County Sports Network, and he was telling me to watch out for this Mohawk team. Their starting quarterback, he said, is the school's all-time leading wide receiver,
Bobby Fadden,
moved to quarterback. And I mean, that, seeing that score, and I knew Neshannock was our number 2 team coming into the preseason, and I got to give credit to Mohawk. I mean, we've seen such a rise in Mohawk athletics over, the past few years. I mean, especially with softball, with everything that they've done, and basketball has been quality over the last few years. Nice to see, the football team has that opportunity to kind of add to that run that Mohawk's been on athletically.
Yeah, Bobby Fadden special. This is the very first night of the 2025-2026 high school sports season, and barring injury, Bobby Fadden is one of those guys, one of the one of the athletes that you right now, before anything gets going, will probably get some consideration for Athlete of the Year when all is said and done this year, because he's a fabulous basketball player, outstanding baseball player as well, and doing it on the gridiron and doing it tonight as the Warriors defeat the Lancers. Monessen beats up on rival Charleroi 44-0. Southside 48, Stowe Rock 6, Waynesburg Central 50, West Green 6, and Carleton defeats Carrick 20-12.
Shout out to Carleton. The Cougars picking up a big win early season against City League Carrick. You love to see.
At Honus Wagner.
Oh, great Honus Wagner Field right there in Carnegie. It's good to see it. Carleton is one of those teams that year in and year out, you see the struggles that they have.
Yes.
That's why I wanted to pinpoint out that game, because that's a team where when they pick up a victory, no matter who the opponent is, whether it's a City League team like Carrick, whether it's another team within the classification, you love to give those kudos when they pull out those tough victories. And shout out to Carleton for going out there and picking up a big win tonight.
Shout out indeed. I agree. Another team that has struggled but picks up a opening night victory in Perryopolis, Fraser 43, Summit Academy 40. You probably don't think much is going to come of a Knights v. Commodores matchup in week 0, but ends up to be one of the best games in the district. 43-40, Fraser over the Summit Academy. Bentworth over Bronzeville 47-6. And New Brighton knocks off Shenango 20-7.
New Brighton Shenango kind of surprises me. I know Shenango's not really that bad of a team. New Brighton, they must have ticked it up another notch this year, because that's a tough Shenango team, and they always normally are, right in the middle ground of their conference. And that's a big, win for New Brighton early on in the season, just looking at that matchup. And we'll see how Shenango bounces back after, what ends up being a tough loss, really.
Yeah. Finally, California 44, Sarah Catholic 14. Jefferson Morgan defeats Chartiers Houston 42-7. Avella 41, Mapletown 6. Those two teams will play again in a Tri-County South Conference game later on in the season. And Fort Cherry off and running, the great Matt Sieg, 49-6. The Flames doused by the Rangers.
Can't say I'm surprised by that final score with Fort Cherry. I mean, again, you talk about 1A and you look at it as, Fort Cherry 1, Clairton 2, most likely, and you have to put it that way, the way the championship game ended last year with Fort Cherry winning it for its second straight year. But I have to say, I'm really surprised by the California Sarah Catholic final score. I thought Sarah Catholic was this year ready to take that next step. I thought last year California lost a good chunk of what was a solid team last year that played in a de facto championship game in the final week of the season against Jefferson Morgan. I thought California was going to have some struggles with what they lost, but I mean, California just finds a way consistently to always have a solid offense, and to do so against an up-and-coming Sarah Catholic team, at least from what I thought, that's impressive to me.
So there you have it. A couple games tomorrow. Beth Center visits Riverview. I think that's a noon start at in Oakmont. 3 games at the Wolverina. The City League Power Westinghouse taking on WPIAL Power Steel Valley, that great state semifinal game they had from 3 years ago. That's a 3:30 start. 7 o'clock, West Mifflin against Elizabeth Forward as the Titans try to win their 4th straight. And McKeesport against Delaware Valley gets the ball rolling at noon to complete week 0. And then we're off and running back into week 1 when the 8 schools that didn't participate this weekend will be back in action. So everybody will be in action. Non-conference next week, non-conference in 2 weeks. And then the fun begins in week 3 as we begin conference play. 10 years old, Sean Saputo, 10 years old, week 0 And I got to say, 10 years later, it's a tremendous success.
It was exciting for me to be a part of it for an 8th time. So ready to keep the ball rolling. It only gets better from here.
Big time thank you to the Hall of Famer, Laura Grimm, the athletic director at Bethel Park, for keeping the lights on. So that's, I know she's long in beds, but nonetheless, kudos to her and her staff for allowing us to do the roundtable Week 0 edition from the press box at Bethel Park. Sean, be careful and get home safely.
Will do. Thanks for having me on.
Great job. Sean Saputo joining me here on the roundtable. We'll be talking to him again in future roundtables. Thanks to our producer, Chris Lackner, as well. And we thank you for joining us as we are wrapping up Week 0. Don't forget, we have 25 to 30 games each and every Friday night on our website. Click on tribhssn.triblive.com. Click on broadcasts. The menu comes up. You can pick and choose whatever you want. We'll have 4, 5, maybe even 6 in-house games as part of that menu each and every Friday. And we thank our sponsors, specifically Edgar Snyder and Associates and AHN and Moon Honda for their great sponsorship, as well as all the others that help us bring high school football to you. We're off and running. For Chris, for Sean, I'm Don Rebel. Thank you for joining us. It's the WPIAL Scoreboard Show on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.